Why silence is a power move. What if I told you that the most powerful move in any situation is to say absolutely nothing? Silence isn't weakness. It's not indecision. It's not passivity. In the hands of someone who understands it, silence is pure strategy. While most people rush to react, the strongest men wait. They watch. They let others show their cards first. Today in the mental gym, we're going to train your mind to understand why silence is one of the most misunderstood and most effective tools of power. Most people talk too much. They feel the need to explain, justify, impress. But here's the truth. The more you speak, the more you reveal. And the more you reveal, the more power you give away. Every word is a data point. Every reaction is a read. Every opinion you share is a window into your mind. People who overshare become predictable, and predictable people are easy to control. Silence, on the other hand, keeps people guessing. It keeps you unreadable, and therefore untouchable. Society teaches you that if you want to be respected, you have to speak up, that you have to dominate the conversation, that silence means weakness. But here's what the wise understand. Real control doesn't need to be announced. The loudest man in the room is usually the most insecure. The one who talks the most is often trying to convince himself. Power doesn't raise its voice. It simply exists. And silence is how it enters the room. When you stop trying to control others through words, you begin to master yourself. Silence isn't the absence of action. It's the presence of awareness. When you're silent, you start to see things others miss. You notice patterns, body language, tone, contradictions, intentions. Most people are too busy talking to actually listen. They react instead of observe. They respond instead of reflect. But when you stay quiet, you gain information, and information is leverage. In any room, the quietest person often knows the most and reveals the least. Silence makes people uncomfortable, and that's exactly why it's powerful. Most people rush to fill silence with noise, with apologies, jokes, or meaningless words. Why? Because silence creates tension, and tension reveals character. When you hold eye contact in silence, you're not just showing confidence. You're forcing the other person to reveal theirs. You find out who folds and who holds. Controlled silence is a test, and most people fail it. Silence demands attention. It forces people to lean in, to wonder what you're thinking, to question what you're about to say. When you speak less, your words carry more weight, because they aren't constant. They're calculated. And in a world full of noise, the person who speaks with intention becomes magnetic. Silence filters out those who only value volume, and it attracts those who recognize presence. People don't respect noise. They respect substance, and silence is the doorway to that substance. Emotional control is one of the rarest and most respected traits in any man, and silence is its most visible form. When someone insults you and you don't react, you win. When chaos surrounds you and you remain still, you lead. Responding emotionally is easy. Anyone can lash out, argue, or defend. But staying silent in the storm, that takes strength. That takes training. That's the discipline of power. And it starts in the mind. In social dynamics, silence gives you control because it shifts the pressure onto others. In negotiation, silence makes people talk more and reveal what they shouldn't. In conflict, silence makes you the one who sets the rhythm. And in leadership, Silence builds presence without the need for dominance. You don't have to speak to lead. You don't have to argue to win. Strategic silence creates space, and in that space, others reveal themselves. That's not manipulation. That's mastery. Silence creates mystery, and mystery creates attraction, not just in relationships, but in life. The more people know about you, the less they imagine. The less they imagine, the less they project power onto you. But when you hold things back, when you move quietly, when you reveal only what's necessary, people start to wonder. They fill in the blanks with curiosity or fear, and both lead to influence. Never underestimate the power of being unknown. Silence also kills the need for validation. When you don't explain yourself, when you don't seek approval, when you don't chase reactions, you show the world that your self-worth isn't negotiable. And that's rare, because most people constantly look around, hoping for a nod, a like, a response. But true power is quiet. It doesn't ask permission. It simply is. And the man who can sit in silence without needing anything from anyone is the man everyone pays attention to. One of the greatest tests of discipline is how you respond when provoked. Weak men react. They defend. They explain. They take the bait. But powerful men stay silent. Not because they're afraid, but because they're in control. Silence is not retreat. It's observation. It's timing. It's patience used as a weapon. And in many cases, it's the most devastating response of all. People don't respect those who talk non-stop. They respect those who speak when it matters. Think about the most powerful leaders, the most feared warriors, the most respected men in any room. They don't waste words. They don't speak to fill space. They speak to shift it. And when they're silent, you can feel it. That's the kind of presence silence builds. A presence that doesn't ask for respect. It commands it. Like any power move, silence isn't natural at first. It's uncomfortable. It feels like weakness. It feels like losing. But that's just conditioning. You've been trained to talk, to defend, to explain. Now it's time to retrain your mind. Start small. Pause before you answer. Hold eye contact a little longer. Let silence exist, even when it's awkward. Over time, you'll notice something shift. Not just in others, but in you. Silence isn't just a tactic. It's a mirror. It reflects your self-control, your confidence, your ability to exist without performing. When you can be silent and still feel secure, you've reached a new level of self-definition. Because most people only feel valuable when they're being seen, heard, or validated. But the man who doesn't need the spotlight becomes the one everyone turns toward. Silence doesn't make you invisible. It makes you undeniable. Silence isn't about never speaking. It's about choosing when to speak and why. There are moments where words are necessary, where your voice must lead, where clarity must be spoken. But the man who has mastered silence never speaks to prove himself, never speaks to react, only to direct. And when he does speak, people listen. Because silence has already made his presence felt. So here's the truth. Silence is not weakness. It's precision. It's presence. It's power. In a world addicted to noise, be the man who controls the room without saying a word. Let your stillness speak. Let your patience lead. Let your silence sharpen every move you make. Train that discipline. Build that control. And the world will feel your energy long before you speak. Subscribe to the Mental Gym and train your mind every single day.